Hello everyone, it's Eddie here again with another video. Still trying to play catch up on all the different topics that I missed while I was on vacation. So I'm going to post in the link in the description link a link to an article that was forwarded to me, and basically someone asked me what are my views on it. So I'm going to just go ahead and read a snippet of it. And it says, the world's largest retail chain told Yahoo Finance that it would be cease using the acronym DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, no longer participate in a corporate equality rating system created by the Human Rights Campaign, and in its 100 million Center for Racial Equality, for racial equity, that was scheduled to be sunset in 2025. So, in essence, Walmart decides that it will no longer participate or have the term DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It would no longer be working on that because, well, obviously, people view that as woke. DEI is woke because, quite frankly, well, actually, let me read this. It's still within the article. DEI was also a hot button issue during the 2024 presidential campaign. A top Trump ally has called DEI bigotry against white men. So, just going by the article alone, if we take what DEI means, is that basically anyone in a DEI position is not a white man. So I just want to make sure I'm saying that correctly. If someone is a DEI candidate, then that means that it's actually being bigotry against a white man or white male. So, DEI is one of those things that, quite honestly, I really don't understand. I guess maybe I can't seem to understand why there's so much hostility to it, or why it's viewed as a woke policy. And again, I hate to just come out the box attacking the right, but sometimes it just seems like I have no other choice. But when people on the right make comments such as that, for example, one of the popular podcasters said that if he sees a black pilot on a plane, he's concerned because that black pilot would have been a DEI hire, and therefore he's not qualified. And so if we go back to the example or what's in the article, if they are a DEI hire, then that means that unless they're a white man, they're really not as qualified. That's kind of how it's being positioned, or that it's excluding white men from positions. And I don't really think that's true, but at the end of the day, I could say quite a bit of stuff, but if you have your mind made up, I'm assuming what I say really won't sway you one way or the other. But for those who are willing to actually to think about it and to kind of process it, DEI really was meant to make corporations and businesses and things like that reflective of society. So if in your area, you have a mixture of, let's say, all different types of races. Let's say you have Asians, Italians, Latinos. DEI would say you should be pulling from those resources because it's a makeup of your area, and it's not saying you should exclude white men. I okay. So actually, let me pause this because I want to actually go on a tangent and tell a story, because DEI is also rooted in kind of like affirmative action. They kind of go hand in hand. So I remember when I was in college and I was in a communication class, and of course we all had to give presentations. And I remember there was a student, and in this case, I'm going to talk race just because, first of all, the people say they don't see color. I say hogwash, or to quote Biden, malarkey. We all kind of do see color, because if we didn't, we wouldn't use some of the descriptive terms we use, like that black guy or that white guy or that Asian guy. So, yeah, cool out with that. But getting back to the little story, they were given a presentation on why affirmative action was bad as well as welfare. So this particular student, who happened to be a white female, was slamming affirmative action, saying that it was disproportionately hurting non-minorities, and then saying that too many basically blacks and Latinos were on welfare and food stamps and things of that nature. And so they gave an argument for it. So what I found interesting is that the teacher, who also happened to be white, then said, your presentation was good. You actually spoke well, but your content was kind of bad. And she said, I'm going by federal statistics. She said, first of all, federal statistics say more white people are on welfare and food stamps. You could say proportionately that perhaps more blacks are on it, but raw numbers, just raw amount of people, it's more white people on it. She also says is that I don't know where everyone getting that affirmative action blocks white people. It actually doesn't. She says, I actually had a friend who was a white male. This is my teacher now speaking, who was a white male who affirmative action got him into his teaching position because he was not representative in the school that he was teaching. So that was my first thought of it, or my first interaction with affirmative action, and now the modernized term DEI. So I feel like at the end of the day, it's coming down to one of those things where, to be perfectly honest, if you're labeling someone a DEI candidate, then possibly you're trying to disqualify that person so that you can get that position. That's kind of how I view all of this, like the attack on affirmative action. Because you're not getting into the school, you feel as if the person who may be a person of color, we don't know, you feel that they're taking your spot. That's my view, and I could completely be wrong. And let me just say again, as I've been saying, is that please post in the comment section if you agree or disagree, because I really would read it and I would like to have some type of dialogue. But when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, what's really being asked is that, again, it should be reflective of the society. And quite frankly, this whole thing about, oh, it's so woke, and the DEI movies. I remember just all of. I'm thinking of some of the Marvel movies where they said that it was a DEI movie and I don't like it. I'm thinking about Lord of the Rings, where, oh, because of DEI or wokeness, we now have black elves. And so I have to close my eyes because it actually is kind of funny, because you're able to believe that a dragon can fly and that a man can reincarnate, but a black elf is just a bridge too far. I think the problem is with you. If you really are like that, I really do think the problem is with you, because it's fantasy. But at the end of the day, we would like to see, and this is coming from me as a black man, I would like to see myself represented in the media, in the things that I consume. So if I pop open a comic book, because I'm a comic book fan, if I pop open a comic book, I would like to see characters that look like me. Because you mean to tell me that there are no black superheroes that are worthy, or their stories should be told? And again, this is not to take anything away from white men. It's actually just to level the playing field, because, there's this inherent belief, and I don't understand it. I really don't understand it, but some kind of way, the melanin in my skin kind of dictates what my IQ level is, or how qualified I am at my job. Not the experience that I have, not the hours of learning and researching and putting in the time, but how much melanin I have determines how smart I am. I mean, that's kind of what it seems like to me, is that if my if my skin is dark, then apparently I may not be as bright as someone whose skin is lighter. And as soon as I can figure out how this works, I will be sure to have a video on that, because I think I will have cracked the great mystery. But for whatever reason, it's just, that seems just to be the way. And if that sounds crazy, it is crazy. It is crazy. Let me just say, it is crazy. So I then decided to kind of like look up some statistics based on what Walmart was doing, just to kind of see like how most people would respond. Because again, this is just my opinion. You could tell me, you know what, you're crazy, and I disagree with everything you said, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't want everyone agreeing with me. It kind of takes some of the fun out of it. I want a healthy, civil debate or discussion, but not everyone has to agree with me. But one of the statistics I found was a June 2024 poll by the Washington Post and Ipsos found that 6 in 10 Americans believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are a good thing. So more than half of people think that DEI is actually a good thing. A September 2024 poll by the Human Rights Campaign found that 80% of LGBT Americans would boycott a company that repeals its DEI programs, and that 19% would quit their jobs if their place of employment did. So people do kind of take this seriously. And I really truly would like a perspective from someone who, well, I guess from a white man or white male. What does DEI mean to you? Do you really find that it's bigotry against you? Because I really am curious, because at the end of the day, that's an experience that I do not have. I have to be told because I do not know. I cannot say what it is to be a white male in this society. I am an African American black male. That's the experience that I draw upon. And from my experience, DEI is a very good thing, because at the end of the day, we all want to see ourselves. We want to see representation of ourselves. And so I think this might be a good spot to stop for right now, because I do think I will come back to this topic several times as my thought process on it evolves, or there are other points I want to make. But I really don't believe DEI is bigotry to white men. If anything, I will go back to what I always said when I first started off in college talking about affirmative action, is that if everything was fair, you wouldn't need affirmative action. And everything is not fair. So this actually makes a fair playing field, and it says we actually want to see representation in society. But at the end of the day, just my opinion. You can take it as you will. And again, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. You continue to watch. I'll continue to make it. Take care and be blessed.